The sky above Outpost Theta turned red without warning. No storm, no flare, just red like blood smeared across the clouds. Corporal Jace Henner stood at the edge of the watchtower, rifle in hand, heart sinking fast. It had been 2 years since. The humans claimed this side of the planet. They thought it was quiet. No signs of enemy tech, no signs of life. Just a frozen forest and rocky fields stretching for miles. But now, all the comms were silent, and the alarms refused to work. Jace climbed down and ran through the camp. The command tent was empty. Footprints in the snow told him the others had already fled. Some dragged gear. Some left trails of blood. Something had attacked fast, and it wasn't human. The power generators flickered. Lights buzzed weakly. His HUD scanner kept flashing symbols he didn't understand. Strange shapes, spiral codes. Organic readings mixed with high-energy weapons. That wasn't local wildlife. That wasn't Earth tech either. Jace grabbed a pack and slipped into the forest. He didn't run. He moved slow and quiet like he had during survival training on Mars. Snow crunched beneath his boots, and cold wind bit his face. He felt eyes watching him from between the trees. Suddenly, a growl echoed through the woods. It wasn't deep like a bear. It wasn't electronic either. It was sharp, wounded, and angry. Jace ducked low and scanned the tree line. At first, he saw nothing. Then he saw it, a shape, limping, silver-furred, and massive. It looked like a wolf but stood too tall and had eyes that glowed soft violet. Its breath came out in clouds. Frost clung to its fur. One paw dragged behind it. Its side was bleeding, black fluid soaking the snow beneath it. Jace raised his weapon, but the creature didn't move to attack. It stared at him, panting, hungry. Weak, something about it felt off. Not dangerous, not wild. More like broken. Like it had been hunted too. He stepped closer and reached into his pack. He pulled out a ration cube, warm from his chest pocket, and held it out. The wolf creature sniffed, eyes narrowing. Then it stepped forward and collapsed at his feet. Jace knelt beside it and saw metal under its fur. Not armor, something grown into it. Biotech veins glowing faintly ran along its ribs. A collar around its neck was shattered. The mark on its forehead pulsed with a symbol that faded the moment he blinked. He didn't know why, but he whispered to it. Not commands. Not threats, just words. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "I don't know what's going on either. But I think you're like me, lost, alone, and maybe angry too." The creature didn't answer. It just looked at him, and for a moment, Jace saw something in its gaze. Not instinct, not hunger. Intelligence, confusion, and something that felt like shame. That night, Jace built a fire and shared more of his food. The creature didn't leave. It watched him, moved closer, and eventually rested beside the flames. Its breathing slowed. Its wounds stopped bleeding. And its eyes never left him. In the morning, the red sky was gone. The forest was silent again. Jace stood, stretched, and looked around. Then he turned to where the creature had lain. But it wasn't there anymore. Instead, there stood a girl. She had silver hair down to her waist, glowing violet eyes, and markings on her face that matched the creature's forehead. Her armor looked grown from bone and metal, strange but beautiful. And she was watching him with the same look the wolf had the night before. Jace reached for his weapon, but she raised a hand. "Don't," she said in perfect English. "You fed me. You saved me. I remember everything." He didn't lower the weapon yet. "What are you?" he asked. The girl tilted her head. "Once, I was a weapon made for war," she said. "But now I think I'm something else." Jace slowly relaxed and stepped closer. The snow crunched underfoot, and the air felt warmer now. The girl looked at the remains of the fire and then back at him. "They're coming for me," she said. "The ones who made me. If they find you with me, they'll kill you too." Jace didn't even blink. "Then we better keep moving," he said. The girl smiled, and for the first time, she looked less like a weapon and more like a person. Jace moved through the frozen trees, the wind biting harder than before. Beside him walked the girl who was once the cosmic Volf. She didn't speak unless she had to. Her bare feet didn't leave tracks in the snow. Her eyes scanned everything, alert like a soldier trained since birth. He didn't ask her name. She hadn't offered it yet, but he had questions. So many questions. Who made her? What war was she talking about? Why was she hunted like prey? But each time he looked at her face, he felt the answers would come when she was ready. The forest ahead had strange marks on the trees. Scratches long and deep, burned symbols. And one tree had melted bark, dripping like wax. Jace touched it, then wiped black soot on his pants. "This wasn't done by animals," he said. "No," the girl replied without turning. "It was them, the collectors. They think I'm still under control. They don't know I broke free." Jace looked at her again. She didn't wear much armor, but what she wore looked alive. The dark silver plates flexed with her movements. Her hair blew in the wind, shimmering like ice in sunlight. She wasn't human, but she wasn't a monster either. "Why did they make you?" he asked. She stopped walking, then looked at him. With a calm but sad gaze. "To track, to kill, to obey. I was part of their ghost pack. There were 12 of us, all bonded with ancient tech. But I was the only one to survive when we turned against them." A howl cut through the air. Not close, but not far enough to ignore. Jace raised his rifle. The girl lowered herself into a crouch, eyes glowing softly. "They've sent a new pack," she whispered. "They found my trail again." They ran low and silent through the snow. The trees grew denser, roots twisted up like claws. Jace's breath came fast. The girl moved with grace, barely touching the ground. When they stopped, she pointed to a small cave under a rock ledge. Inside, the air was warmer, dry, safe for now. Jace dropped his gear and checked the ammo on his belt. The girl sat cross-legged near the back wall, her eyes closed, fingers brushing glowing patterns on her armor. "I can hide my scent," she said, "but not yours. They'll find this cave in hours unless we fight." Jace looked at her, tired and unsure. "Can we win?" She didn't open her eyes. "I don't need to win," she said. "I just need to kill the one who still controls the signal." He didn't understand everything, but he understood enough. If someone out there still held a link to her mind, then she was still hunted, still vulnerable, still not free. Jace stood and offered her another ration cube. She took it in both hands like it was more than food, like it meant something more. She smiled and ate quietly. Her voice softened when she spoke again. "No one's ever fed me before. Not like that. Not with kindness." The moment passed. In silence. Outside, the wind howled again. The cave shook lightly. Something heavy had landed nearby. A faint beeping came from Jace's comms, and then the device sparked and died. Jammed. Tracked. They had company. Jace turned to her. "If I die," he said, "make sure they don't take Earth next." The girl stood, eyes bright like starlight, and placed her hand on his chest. "If you die," she said, "then I'll burn every one of them to ash." They waited in silence, backs against stone. The air felt thick, the kind of silence that came before a storm. Then a voice rang out from outside the cave, robotic, cold. "Return to command. Surrender the subject, or be erased." Jace raised his weapon, but the girl stepped forward first. Her armor began to shift, grow. A long blade formed down her arm. Her body glowed from within. The Volf inside her was waking again. She turned to him, one last glance. "Stay behind me," she said. "You fed me when I was dying. Now I fight because you reminded me I was alive." Jace had seen soldiers, he had seen machines, he had seen monsters, but nothing compared to the sight of this huntress stepping into battle for him. Snow exploded at the cave's mouth as something massive struck the entrance. Jace was thrown back against the stone wall. Light flickered. Dust and smoke filled the air. The girl stood tall in front of him, her arm blade glowing blue like a captured star. The first enemy entered with speed, a machine wolf covered in dark metal. Its legs hissed steam, and its jaws snapped as it lunged at her. She moved fast, ducking under the attack, then driving her blade up through its chest. Sparks flew as the machine collapsed in pieces. Jace rolled to the side, raised his rifle, and fired at a second shape, charging through the smoke. His rounds hit armor, slowing it just enough for her to finish it with a strike to the neck. The second enemy fell, twitching, its red eyes fading out. Outside the cave, more of them were coming. 5 signals on his HUD, maybe 6. Jace's breath came fast. He was trained to fight, but this was no normal battle. These things weren't just machines. They were hunters like her, but without mercy. The girl stood still, scanning the snow beyond the trees. "The Alpha's near," she said. "I feel his pulse. He controls the pack. If I kill him, the others will fall." Jace checked his ammo. 1 clip left. A few grenades. Nothing that could stop a full assault. "Where is he?" he asked. She pointed toward a tall ridge, not far, where smoke twisted into the clouds. "There," she whispered. "He waits with the signal tower. That's how they track me." They moved fast and quiet through the trees. The cold no longer mattered. The mission had taken over. Jace followed her lead, stepping in her footprints, staying low. She was the wild edge of nature now, all fury and focus. At the base of the ridge, they paused. The snow was disturbed. Tracks, broken ice, blood, signs of a recent kill. One of her kind had tried to escape and failed. The girl knelt beside the remains, fingers brushing a broken collar. "This was Mira," she said. "She helped me run." They made an example of her. Jace watched her expression harden. No tears, just silence and a slow breath. Then she stood and climbed the ridge, blades flexed and ready. He followed her, step by step, heart pounding like a drum. At the top they saw the tower, black steel and glowing red lights. Around it stood more of the machine wolves guarding. The base, in the center stood the Alpha, twice her size, covered in armor that looked like bone. His eyes burned like molten metal. She didn't wait. With a cry that shook the trees, she leapt forward, striking the first guard with a spinning blade. The others moved in, but Jace fired quickly, giving her space. Bullets tore through exposed joints. The snow turned black with burning fluid. Alpha didn't move. He stood like a statue, watching her fight. Then he raised one arm and snapped his fingers. A sharp sound echoed, and suddenly she froze in place. Her body twitched. She screamed as the collar on her neck lit up with red energy. Jace didn't think. He charged forward, tossing a grenade toward the tower. It exploded, lighting the sky. With fire, the signal beam blinked and shattered. The collar on her neck sparked, then died. She fell to the ground gasping. The Alpha growled and turned toward Jace. He charged, fast and brutal. Jace fired again and again, but the rounds bounced off. Then the girl stood. Her body glowed bright, and her arms split into twin blades. She leapt into the air and met the Alpha mid-charge. The impact shook the ridge. They slammed into the ground, locked in a brutal fight. Blade met claw. Sparks flew. Bones cracked. Snow flew into the air like ash. Jace watched, ready to help, but the fight was beyond him now. She moved like light, faster than he could follow. And then, with one final scream, she drove both blades into the Alpha's chest. The creature stopped moving. Smoke poured from its wounds. The other machines below the ridge froze in place, then collapsed without command. The tower flickered once and went dark. She stood over the Alpha's body, chest rising fast. Her blades melted back into her arms. Jace climbed to her side and placed a hand on her shoulder. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. They had won the fight. But it wasn't over yet. The girl looked up at the sky and whispered something in her native tongue. Then she turned to Jace, eyes soft again. You broke their chain. Now I can choose who I want to be. The fire burned low beside the wreckage of the tower. Jace placed broken panels around the flames to reflect heat. The girl sat across from him, her silver hair catching the light, her armor silent now, like it was resting too. She didn't speak much after the battle. Her body had taken damage, small cracks in her shoulder and dark lines near her ribs. Biotech fused flesh and metal, but even that needed time to heal. Jace handed her water, and she drank slowly, her eyes never leaving the darkness beyond the trees. Do they know you're free? He asked. She looked up, pausing before she answered. They will soon. The Alpha wasn't the last. Just the one sent to drag me back. But now that I've resisted again, the Overseers will come. Jace didn't like the sound of that. He had never heard of Overseers in the Galactic records. Not even in Black Files. If these things were real, then Earth was in more danger than anyone knew. He checked his broken comm unit again. Still nothing. She stood and walked to the ridge, silent as snowfall. Her eyes scanned the sky. Stars blinked above, sharp and cold. Then she saw it. A pulse, faint, green, moving like a ripple through space. Her face darkened. They've activated the recall. Jace walked up beside her, rifle slung over his shoulder. What does that mean? He asked. She turned toward him. They'll trigger my old instincts, try to hijack my body again. I've resisted before, but it gets harder each time. The pulse digs deep, and if I lose focus, I won't just be hunted. I'll become the hunter again. She clenched her fists, shaking slightly. Jace could see it. This fight was not just outside. It was inside her too. A war in her mind between who she was made to be and who she was trying to become. He placed a hand on her arm, steady and warm. I'm not leaving you, he said. We'll find a way to stop that signal. Even if we have to tear their ship from the sky. She nodded slowly, drawing strength from his voice. Her breathing calmed. Her blades didn't grow this time. Instead, her shoulders lowered. She was still in control. They followed the pulse, moving east through the icy forest. Each step brought new tension. The animals were silent. The wind didn't blow. Even the trees felt like they were watching. The pulse grew stronger with every mile. At last, they saw it. A craft half buried in snow, not large, sleek and black. Symbols along the hull pulsed in green rhythm. The ship hummed like a living thing. Jace crouched behind a rock and studied it. Is that theirs? He asked. She nodded. It's a relay drone, not meant for war. Meant for control. They use them to repair broken bonds. If I get close, it'll try to link with me. If I let it, I'll be gone. Jace took a deep breath. Then we destroy it, he said. Fast and clean. He moved low, planting charges near the hull. The girl stood watch, eyes scanning every shadow. The pulse beat louder now, like a drum under their skin. Jace's hands trembled as he set the final detonator. Then the drone reacted. The ship's surface shifted. A thin beam shot out and struck the girl in the chest. She screamed, falling to her knees. Her body sparked. Her eyes flickered. Jace ran to her, calling her name, but she didn't answer. Her voice changed, cold, robotic. Target located. Order received. Mission reset initiated. Then she looked at him with no emotion, no recognition. She stood slowly, blades extending. Her hand pointed at him. Jace didn't move. Fight it, he said. You're not theirs. You're not A weapon. You're more than that now. She hesitated. The blade on her right arm retracted slightly. Her hand shook. Her eyes twitched, and then she screamed again, clutching her head. The pulse wavered. The drone's beam broke. She collapsed into his arms. Her breathing ragged, but her eyes were hers again. I broke it, she whispered, but it tried to take me. If we don't stop the source, I won't win the next time. Jace didn't. Let go. He looked down at her, wounded but strong. He had made a promise, and now it was more than survival. It was a fight for her soul. They spent the night inside a wrecked shuttle near the downed drone. Jace reinforced the door with broken armor panels. The girl rested against the cold wall, her skin dim with fading glow. Her breathing was steady, but her silence felt heavy. The fire crackled low between them. Jace watched her from across the room. He wanted to say something, anything that would help. But she was somewhere deep inside herself, and words weren't enough to reach her yet. Outside, snow continued to fall. No tracks led in, no enemies followed. Still, Jace kept his rifle close. He didn't trust the silence. It felt like the kind of quiet before another storm. Finally she spoke. Her voice was soft. You could have run. You should have. If the drone took me, I might have killed you. Jace shook his head slowly. If I had run, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. And I didn't come this far to give up on you. She closed her eyes, breathing deeper. The pulse in her neck had returned to normal. No sign of the signal. No more commands. But she still looked unsure, as if she doubted her own hands. They made me to be loyal without question, she said. To obey orders, to track and destroy. Feelings were considered errors. Kindness was weakness. But now when I look at you, the old commands don't work. Jace leaned forward. Maybe it's because you're becoming who you were meant to be. Not what they forced you to become. Her eyes opened slowly. That thought scares me more than death. Because I don't know what I'm supposed to be without their voice in my mind. Jace reached into his pack and pulled out a photo. It was old and torn. A picture of Earth. Mountains, forests, lakes. He handed it to her. This is where I'm from. You should see it one day. It's not perfect, but it's free. She took the photo carefully, studying the image. No ice, no metal, just sky and green. It doesn't look real. It's real, he said, and so are you. Not just wires and instincts. You're someone now. Not something. Her grip tightened on the picture. She looked down for a moment, then slowly smiled. It was small but real. Her armor seemed to react, softening at the edges, less aggressive, less machine. Then the fire hissed. The heat dropped fast. A cold wave swept through the shuttle. Jace stood up, weapon ready. The girl moved beside him, alert again. Her hand touched the wall. They're near. Another scout. Bigger than the last one. Jace looked through the cracks in the panel. A shadow moved outside, tall and glowing. Not another Wolf drone. This one walked upright. Its head split in two directions, glowing lines tracing its skull. It wasn't hunting her. It was scanning for Jace. She turned to him quickly. It's not here for me. It's here for you. They've marked you. Because you helped me. They've seen you as corrupted. Jace raised his rifle but didn't shoot. The thing outside paused, tilting its head. Then it spoke, voice like broken. Glass, human Jace Henner, return the subject. You will be cleansed for interference. Jace didn't flinch. I don't answer to machines, he said. The girl stepped in front of him, blades extending slowly. Then we fight again. Together this time, not for survival, but for choice. The scout charged, smashing through the shuttle wall. Jace rolled out, opening fire. The girl followed, striking fast. The creature blocked her blade, but didn't see Jace's grenade land behind it. The explosion sent it flying into the snow. It rose again, cracked and sparking. But this time, the girl leapt high, spinning in midair. Her blades sliced through its core. The machine collapsed, twitching in pieces. Its red eyes faded to black. Breathing hard, she landed and stood beside Jace. They didn't speak for a while. The night was quiet again. The storm had passed. Jace placed his hand on her shoulder. She didn't step away. Her head tilted, and her expression softened again. "I didn't know I could protect someone by choice," she said. "Not because of orders, just because I wanted to," Jace smiled. "That's what makes you more human than most people I've met." She looked up at the stars again. "Then maybe, one day, I'll see your sky, not as a weapon, but as myself." The cold wind had faded, replaced by a quiet warmth in the early light of dawn. Snow still covered the ground, but the air no longer bit at their skin. Jace and the girl walked side by side, leaving behind the wreckage of the shuttle and the shattered drone parts. They didn't speak much as they moved. The silence wasn't fear anymore. It was something deeper. A peace between them, built from trust earned through battle. Every step forward felt like they were walking out of a cage neither had chosen to be in. The girl's armor had changed again. It was thinner now, sleeker, less like a weapon and more like clothing shaped by instinct. The metal blended smoothly with her skin. Her hair was loose and shimmered in the morning light like silver threads. Jace noticed how she no longer walked like a soldier. Her eyes still scanned the trees, but not as prey or predator. She looked like someone searching for something, maybe herself. They reached a wide cliff overlooking a valley of frozen rivers and distant mountains. She stopped and stared for a long time. "This is the farthest I've ever gone without being called back," she said. "Every time I tried before, they pulled me back into their voice." Jace placed his pack down and joined her at the edge. "They won't reach you now. The last signal was destroyed. They don't know what to do without control." She breathed deep, her chest rising with slow calm. "Then this is my first real day. The first moment I get to decide what I want to be." Behind them, a new sound rumbled through the trees. A low hum, familiar but not threatening. A human ship, sleek and marked with Earth's flag, emerged above the tree line and descended gently onto the snow. Jace narrowed his eyes and turned his comm unit back on. Static cleared. A voice came through. "Corporal Henner, we've been tracking your distress signal. Stand by for pickup." The girl looked at the ship, then at him. "Are you leaving now?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "They think I'm lost. I need to report what happened. Let them know what we found here, what they tried to hide." She lowered her gaze. "And what about me?" she asked. Jace stepped closer. "You're not a secret anymore. You're not a weapon. If you come with me, they'll learn that too. But if you're not ready, I won't force it. This choice is yours." She looked at her hands, fingers once made to kill now free. "To decide." Then she looked at him again. "I don't know if I belong with humans, but I know I don't belong with them either. Maybe I belong somewhere in between." Jace smiled. "Maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs. Someone who doesn't belong in any box. Someone who writes their own path." The ship touched down. The rear ramp lowered. Steam hissed around the edges. A squad stepped out, weapons lowered, medical team in tow. But when they saw the girl, every hand moved toward a sidearm. Jace raised his voice. "Stand down. She's not a threat. She's the reason I'm alive. And she's under my protection." The squad hesitated. The captain stepped forward. "She's not human, Corporal. You know what the regs say about bio-enhanced entities." Jace didn't blink. "Then the regs are outdated. She saved my life twice. And she's not a machine. She feels. She thinks. She made a choice no program could make." The girl stepped forward, calm and unafraid. "I'll come, but not as a prisoner. If you try to put chains on me, I'll break them. If you want to learn who I am, then I'll speak. But I will not." Kneel again. The captain looked at her, then at Jace. A long moment passed. Finally he nodded. Then let's get you both off this ice rock. They boarded the ship together. The engines roared to life. The valley grew smaller beneath them. As they lifted toward the sky, inside the ship, she sat beside Jace, quiet but steady. She didn't flinch at the stairs. She didn't hide her face. For the first time, she didn't need to. Jace leaned toward her and whispered, "You're not alone anymore. Whatever happens next, we face it together." She smiled faintly, a real smile, shaped by freedom and choice. The ship touched down on the orbital base above Earth. Silver towers stretched across the platform, blinking with blue lights. Jace stepped out first, followed closely by the girl. She kept her posture tall, but her gaze stayed sharp as if still. Expecting chains, they walked through clean halls filled with humans in uniform. Most of them stopped and stared, some whispered. A few raised their weapons slightly before lowering them again. Her presence caused confusion, but not fear, not yet. Jace led her to the debriefing chamber. Inside, a circle of high-ranking officials waited. The Earth Council, 11 members, each one responsible for security across the colonies. They stood behind a curved table with datapads and stern faces. The lead officer, Admiral Stone, stepped forward. "Corporal Henner, we received your full report. But words on paper don't match what we see here. You brought back a classified weapon." Jay stood firm. "She's not a weapon. She broke free from them. She saved my life. She made her own decisions." Stone looked past him to the girl. "Is that true? You understand what we are? What this place is?" he asked. She stepped forward without fear. "I know what you are, and I know what they were. You are builders, explorers. They were slavers. They carved obedience into flesh. But I cut it out of me." A low murmur spread across the council. One woman leaned in. "How many of your kind are still out there?" she asked. The girl's eyes darkened. "I was one of 12 in my ghost pack. 10 are dead. 1 remains missing. I was the only one who broke the control. But others may follow. If given the chance," Jace nodded, "then we help them. We find them and show them what she found: freedom, choice, a future." Stone folded his arms. "You risked everything bringing her here. Do you understand the threat she could still pose if that signal is ever reactivated?" "I understand," Jace said. "But fear shouldn't decide our future. If we act like them, locking her away, then we're no better than the ones who made her." The girl raised her hand, and all eyes turned to her again. "I don't ask for your trust. I ask for your test. Put me through your trials. Let me prove I'm more than what they left behind." There was silence. Then the oldest council member stood. Her voice was quiet but firm. "If she chooses to stand before us, unshackled, then we must choose to see her. Let the trials begin." That evening, the girl faced the first of many tests. She walked into chambers filled with scanners and simulators. Her body was scanned for hidden codes. Her mind was tested for implanted triggers. Each result came back clean. Then came the combat trial. She was placed in a chamber with 3 elite soldiers. No weapons, just instinct. Cameras watched from above. Jace waited behind the glass, heart pounding. The match began. The soldiers moved fast. She moved faster. But she didn't kill. She disarmed with precision, dodged without violence. Ended the fight by disabling all 3 without a drop of blood. When it ended, she stood in the center of the ring, breathing slow. The door opened, and Jace walked in. He met her eyes and nodded. She had passed the test without becoming what they feared. Later, the council reviewed the data. Hours passed. Then Admiral Stone returned with the final decision. He looked at her, then at Jace. She is no longer classified as a threat. Her record is now listed as an independent entity. She has earned temporary citizenship status. The Girl bowed slightly, not from submission, but respect. Thank you, I will honor this chance. And I will not let you regret it. Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. They didn't make this happen. You did. You chose to stand. You chose to speak. She smiled gently. And I chose to believe someone could see me as more than a shadow. A week had passed since the council granted her status as a free being. The girl no longer wore the sharp armor she arrived in. Now she dressed in a flexible uniform designed for off-world scouts. It was light, breathable, and moved with her like a second skin. Jace walked beside her down the main corridor of Earth's orbital station. He had been cleared for full return to duty, but no mission had been assigned yet. Everyone seemed to be watching and waiting. Not for him but for her. They entered the training dome together. The space was wide, with artificial grass and bright simulated sunlight. Soldiers trained at one end. Scientists gathered near observation windows. She walked toward the center and stood still. A child stepped out from a group, maybe 6 years old, holding a small wooden wolf. He stared up at her, wide-eyed. Jace started to move forward, but she held out a hand gently. Then she knelt down to the child's level and smiled. "You're the wolf girl," the child said softly. She nodded. "Once. I was, but I'm more now. I chose to be something new." The child handed her the wooden figure. "You can keep it. My dad says you're a hero." She accepted it with care. "Thank you. I'll carry it with honor." The child ran back to his group. Jace approached her slowly. "That meant something, didn't it?" he asked. She looked down at the wooden wolf in her hand. "Yes, it means I'm seen, not as a weapon, not as a threat, but as someone worth trusting." Later that night, Jace found her standing at the edge of the observation deck. Earth glowed. Below them, blue and green and alive. Her eyes reflected the light like mirrors. She hadn't spoken much all evening. "I've never seen it from this high," she said. "It doesn't look like a battlefield. It looks like home." Jace stood beside her. "It could be your home, if you want it to be." She turned toward him, thoughtful. "I want to protect it. Not because I was made to, but because I choose to. Because it gave me the one thing I never had." "What's that?" he asked. She answered with a calm voice. "A chance to decide who I am." Jace nodded. "Then let's make it official. You need a name, not a code, not a title. A real name, one you choose for yourself." She looked back at Earth. A long pause followed. Then she spoke clearly. "I want to be called Era. It means hope in an old language I read from your files. That's what you gave me, so that's who I'll be." Jace smiled. "Era, it is. Welcome to your future." In the weeks that followed, Era joined Earth's diplomatic defense program. Not as a soldier, but as a guardian of peace. She trained others in how to fight without losing themselves. She spoke before leaders about what it meant to choose one's path. Reports soon came in about another ghost pack signal detected on the edge of the Helian belt. Jace was chosen to lead the retrieval mission. When asked who would accompany him, he gave only one name. Era stood beside him on the deck of their new ship. She wore her scout armor again, but now it bore the insignia of Earth and the symbol of her chosen name. A silver wolf over a rising star. "Are you ready?" Jace asked. Era grinned. "Always. Let's find the others. Maybe they're still waiting for someone to believe in them too." The engines roared to life. The ship lifted into the stars. Earth shrank behind them, but their purpose grew stronger with each mile. She was no longer a lost weapon, no longer a hunted creature, no longer alone. She was Era now, and she had chosen her place among the stars.